What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. I may be the last video game content creator on YouTube who's doing this. Probably not. I'd like to think I'm at least a little early. It's only the second Friday. But I'm going to be going through my favorite games of 2024 today, hitting all of my favorites kind of in order. I think I've got my top 5 picked out from last year, with some honorable mentions, with some other games that I really wish that I had time to play last year that I hope to play this year. But I'm really excited. And then hopefully next week's video is going to be all the games from 2025 that I'm really excited will be coming out as well. So without further ado, let's get started with my top 5 games from 2024. First up at number 5 is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I played this on Nintendo Switch quite a bit of the beginning of last year. I did complete the main story, I believe. That's probably as far as I got. I didn't really go back for some of the stuff that's still in that game yet, but I did get to play quite a bit of this game, and I really enjoyed it. A couple of things that I enjoyed the most. First, the art style is incredible. You can see it right there. The art style just looks beautiful. The characters are awesome. The story was really well paced. I thought you could continue to kind of understand everything that's happening along the way, which is pretty unique in some of these games nowadays. Sometimes these games really lose the thread when it comes to the story, especially when you have all these insane kind of gameplay mechanics and everything. The story can almost kind of become second, but I thought they did a really good job with this one. I really enjoyed what they were doing with the story, and just the gameplay was really great as well. The creativity with this game I thought was fantastic. The kind of unique abilities that they were giving your character, the types of damage, and the different kind of mechanics that they added along the way to almost make it like a Metroidvania style, where you are, unlocking certain things as you go, but having to go back and take more options when you have more options was really exciting. So this game was huge. A couple things that I didn't love about this one: the difficulty on this game, it wavered from like fight to fight, from person to person. I think I'm a good video game player, and this game I had so much trouble at certain times where I was just like losing fights, taking damage, dying, and I had no clue why. So it was a little bit difficult to understand maybe exactly what I was doing wrong. I thought I was blocking, I thought I was countering, I thought I was doing these things and dodging at the right time, and I was just getting hit all over. So I never got a good understanding of this game's kind of control setup maybe. And so the difficulty, the setup of the controls and the combat and everything never really clicked with me. Even though I worked really hard to love the traversal in the game, those things never really clicked with me. But overall, I loved this game. This one's coming in at number 5 for last year. Coming in at number 4, which may get me in trouble because it's probably too low for a lot of you guys, is Astro Bot, the PlayStation 5 from Team Asobi, I think. PlayStation 5 exclusive game. It might be on PC now, I'm not 100% sure. But Astro Bot was obviously one of the most incredible games of 2024. It was like a platformer, kind of a Mario-esque, just your standard platformer that all these consoles like to have, and Astro Bot was their version. But the way that they made this game was just incredible. Everybody's already raved enough about it, but the collecting coins, saving the little bots and everything, the art style, all of it was out of the world. This gameplay is incredible. I thought this game was wicked cute. The whole time you're just kind of frothing over how cute these little things are, and how fun it is to save the really unique looking ones. You're saving like little Astrobots from God of War and from The Last of Us and things like that, and it's just so cute. They did such a good job making this game feel unique but still fun to play, which I think is really important. I love the art style. I love the creativity. Platformers can start to feel very repetitive for sure, but this one really had some unique strides to make it feel like you're doing something maybe you haven't really done before, which is really awesome. There's tons of levels. I know they have speed running. I finished most of the main levels. I haven't gone back and finished everything. Obviously, there's way too much in this game. I may not have time to get back to some of this stuff, but this was awesome. This was a really great game for last year. Really unique kind of console exclusive that came out there for the PlayStation. The only kind of bad feedback I'd have for this game, genuinely, maybe the only bad feedback, I don't like the PlayStation controller. Call me crazy. You may think I'm nuts, and that's not really fair to say for this game, but since it's the only way that I was able to play it with that controller, and I guess I could have bought an Xbox controller, it made my experience with Astro Bot a little bit worse because I don't like the controller very much. But the game was so good that I could kind of push through and make it work anyways. But this one, all time from last year for sure. Next up, coming in at number 3, which literally you'll see kind of when we get 3, 2, and 1. This one could have had a fist fight for number 1 for me for last year, because I had some of the most fun of any video game I've ever played in Helldivers 2 last year. And so me saying that may make it sound strange that this is so low down, but the other games coming in at number 2 and number 1 were that much better for me that I just had to kind of move these things around and get it. But I still had to get Helldivers 2 on there, obviously. Helldivers 2 was one of the coolest games I've ever played. I didn't play Helldivers 1. I'm not a huge multiplayer shooter kind of guy. I do like PvE style gameplay a lot more than PvP, and that's kind of all this game is. So that kind of caught my attention more. But these multiplayer shooters that require a lot of people and teams to really get the full feel, sometimes I have troubles getting into those. A lot of my friends don't play as many video games as I would like, and I'm trying to find more gaming community. But I played a crap ton of Helldivers 2. It was so much fun. Some of my favorite things about it, the graphics look incredible. The art style is wicked. You've got these really kind of badass looking Marines with these different kind of armor types and everything. The different planets look incredible. There's swamps and snow and desert and forests, and it was awesome. It looked so good. The art style, the graphics looked incredible. I think the emergent gameplay, maybe is the way I would say it. The stories that take place just from playing this game, the things that happen to you are incredible. It creates some of the coolest gaming moments in a completely unscripted game. So like you're dropped into this thing and you have mission objectives. And so there was one where me and a random were trying to like set off a nuke on this planet, to nuke this whole planet, to get rid of the aliens or whatever was going to be there. And like the story, quote unquote, that we were unfolding before us was insane. It was crazy that we were like running from these things, and he was saving me and I was trying to save him and sacrificing myself, and we didn't know if we were going to make it. We didn't have time, and then someone else dropped in to save us at the last minute, and we were fighting our way back, to the drop ship to escape, and not all of us made it. And it's just like, dude, this thing created emotion, feeling, and story just by playing the game, by doing what the game was wanting you to do without any sort of direction or story. And I just thought that was so cool. Helldivers 2 was incredible. Some of the best gaming experiences I had last year for sure. I had to write down a couple things that I thought maybe weren't great with this one. I thought the first one, the game is a little bit hard to follow. There is like a storyline happening, so there's multiple planets, multiple different enemy types and factions and stuff, and the story is kind of unfolding a little bit in the game, but mostly like on social media and Reddit and stuff. And so they're telling the story. Some of like the story creators are posting things on Twitter telling you what's happening, where to go, what planets to fight on, what to happen here, and what happened behind the scenes that got you to there. And while that's really cool that there is a kind of background story, none of it is really that accessible in the game. At least I didn't know how to access it in the game maybe. And so it just kind of feels like you're doing this thing with no purpose, which is fine for a lot of people. Some people can play games and have no reason, but I love story in video games. And so knowing that there was a cool story happening in the background, that the bugs are moving this way and the Terminators are coming over here and the Illuminate showed up at a certain point, and there's a reason behind it. I wish they had a better way of conveying that in the game, that you knew what you were doing and why and what impact it was going to be having. But other than that, I think that it was super good. I think that the ramp up of gameplay maybe could use some work. It takes forever to get anything, like to save up the materials to buy stuff, to level up your character, to get more stratagems. Everything takes so long in this game. And when you are a normal person who can't sit around and play games, 8 hours a day, it's just too long. I think the grind of this game was probably too long. But the gameplay, 10 out of 10. We'll do it a million times over for sure. And coming in at number 2 was a very surprising game for me and for the style of game that I play, but it was Balatro. I might be saying that right. It's either Balatro or Balatro. Balatro makes more sense, but I think they're telling you that it's Balatro or Balatro. I think it's Balatro, and that's how it should be because it makes more sense. But this game, dude, this is the weirdest game I've ever played, but it had a grip on me for 2 weeks like almost no other video game in my life. I played almost nothing else for like at least 8 or 9 days other than Balatro because I was just addicted to getting my first run finished. So this game is like a dungeon crawler. It's like a roguelite in that you're going into dungeons, which is like fighting the dealer, I guess, maybe. You're going into these dungeons, you're starting out weak, you're slowly making large progress, but each run you're creating short-term progress within that run to hopefully beat the entire run by the end. And if you fail, you just start back over, but you've gained a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of power, and a little bit of understanding of the game to kind of hopefully get you farther along in your next run. And so it's a unique style of game that they took that kind of dungeon crawler style and combined it with this card game. all set around the game of poker. And so every round you're facing the blind, which is the bad guy. You have to play enough certain hands to get enough points to beat that blind for that round. You only have so many hands, you can only discard so many cards, and then the jokers that you're picking, you can kind of see on the screen there, the jokers have unique effects that kind of make the game easier in some ways, maybe harder, but with more options in the later game. The depth of this game is insane. And so this game I was addicted to, for sure, for like 8 or 9 days. I could not stop. I think the gameplay, 10 out of 10. I think the learning curve of this game, so the way that you just come to understand it just by playing, 10 out of 10. Just keep playing the game and you will figure it out, and you will get better, and you will have a game plan for what you want to do with it. But I think this game had its hooks in me. I think it is so replayable. You can consistently be going. This is the type of game where if you're a person who picks a game and sticks with it, this could be a forever game. I genuinely think that there's so much to do here. You can, the numbers get bigger, right? That's what everybody wants. We want to play video games where the numbers get bigger, scales forever. That is this kind of game, and it is wild. It was so much fun. The depth is insane. There's so many options in this game. I can't believe, I think it was one developer maybe, or at least a couple. I'll hopefully put a note on the screen when the video is uploaded to make sure that this information is correct, but I'm pretty sure this is a crazy small studio, and to create something with so much depth and so much replayability was just nuts. It is such a good game. I was blown away by this one for sure. A couple things that it probably could do better. I think it's really hard to understand what you're doing in the moment. So you pick cards, they also have multipliers, you also get different multipliers from everywhere, but to be realistic, at least for me, you can see right here, so you've got these multipliers. I was just kind of tapping cards that I thought were good, and I tapped cards that I knew I had been buffing in different hands that I had been buffing. But for me, even when I understood the game the most, there were times where I genuinely felt like I was guessing. I had no clue what I was doing, and I didn't love that. So I do kind of hope that in the future, maybe there's some ways that they can make this game a little bit more easy to understand as you are playing the game. You know exactly what's going to happen before you do it. I never feel like I really had a grasp on that. I was hoping that this thing got me enough points to get past this thing. And sometimes it's guessing, and that's not fun. It's not fun to guess in video games when you should understand the rules, I think. And then for me, the number one video game of last year, 2024, for me, was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This game was almost a 10 out of 10 for me. I genuinely think this game is the closest 10 out of 10 we had last year for me personally. I had so much fun with the exploration, the adventures, the different multiple storylines they have going with the field work, the adventures, the mysteries. I was hooked to this game. I loved Indiana Jones growing up. I watched the movies. I think they were so cool. And the gameplay, the unique style of gameplay that they gave you in this was out of this world. I thought this was going to be a third-person Uncharted ripoff, and it was nowhere near that. It was way more of an immersive sim. It was a stealthy game. It had a really cool storyline. The story beats that you had along the way were just incredible. I had more fun playing this game than any game I played last year, for sure. The storyline was awesome. Graphics look incredible. The gameplay, picking up the items, you can kind of see on the screen right now as you're going along, you're basically running, stealthing through missions sometimes. Sometimes you're actively running through them. There are linear levels, there's open levels, there are really good cutscenes, there's tons of side adventures and collectibles and so much stuff to do in this game. I was just hooked. I'm almost 100% complete, which is crazy. I very rarely 100% anything, but this game is getting 100% from me because I was hooked. I thought it was so good. Couple notes on things that I think they didn't quite nail, things that they could have done better on. The combat in this game is not very good in my opinion. You'll see it on screen right now. You're mostly running around swinging things or your fists at other people. You're dodging and grappling, but it's very repetitive. It's a little clunky, and there's almost nothing else to do other than the kind of fisticuffs that they want you to do with either your hands or with the stuff that you're picking up along the way. It just gets a bit repetitive, and I wish that there were other combat options in there, as well as the traversal of the game. So the exploration is awesome. Running around the Vatican, running around Giza in Egypt, running around in different areas in Iraq towards the end. There's beautiful locations that are just awesome to run around, but literally getting around the maps is so confusing at times. You can adjust the settings on these things to where it's easier to get to places. Sometimes it's harder. I tried to find a middle ground where I wanted to discover stuff. I wanted to understand stuff for myself, but there were plenty of times where I just genuinely had no clue where I was supposed to go, what I was supposed to be doing. And you had to adjust the settings to basically turn it back on, and then it would kind of get you a little bit of the way, and then I'd still be confused when I got somewhere else. So I think that the traversal of this game, the actual ways they get you from A to B, get you around, could probably do with some upgrades for sure. But this was my game of the year for 2024. I thought it was incredible. I will be playing the DLC. I will be 100%ing this, and I will play any Indiana Jones game that Machine Games puts out for the rest of my life. I know that. I wanted to take a second and do some rapid fire honorable mentions from last year, games that I really enjoyed, but were definitely not anywhere near the top of my list. The first one you'll see on the screen right now was Enshrouded. This is kind of a survival, crafting, open world game that was really cool. It was voxel based, so the building was really great. You were running around, you start as this character who becomes awakened in like a dungeon, and then you have to save this world, but there's areas that are enshrouded in like mystery and dust, and your character's weaker there, and you've got to go and save all these heroes from all over the place and build these things up. And I really enjoyed this game. It kind of wore out for me. The storyline is basically incomprehensible. I had no clue why I was doing anything I was doing, but the gameplay is really good. It's got some great mixtures of survival games and action adventure games. Feels like if like Zelda and 7 Days to Die and some of these, maybe a game where there's a bit more like crafting than building, like Rust. It's like if those games had a baby that was a lot more cleaner and polished. It was really great, but it was, you know, it was a bit iffy in some areas, but it was a really fun game for the year. Next up for honorable mentions was No Rest for the Wicked. This is like a top-down, almost isometric kind of adventure game where you create a character who's crash landed on this world that there's like a plague going around, and the king is dead and his son is taking over and he's kind of evil. It was a really interesting game. This is actually a game that I've only been playing on my ROG Ally. So I bought it on Steam. I play it exclusively on my ROG Ally for some reason. I don't know why I'm doing that. It runs super well because that thing's awesome, but I definitely don't get to play it as much because I'm usually playing other consoles. The game is super difficult. It's kind of like a Souls-like, but more of a top-down style. It's super difficult. It's super slow combat. Some of the stuff that's hard with this game is it's hard to tell when the fights, what's happening in the fights. It's hard to tell what's going on a little bit, but it's super enjoyable. Definitely recommend this one if you have some extra time and you want to get into a really cool story, really cool, unique Souls-like that is beautiful. This is from the people that made the Ori games, which are some of the most beautiful games of all time. And so this game is beautiful as well. It definitely has its quirks. It's a little difficult, but it's wicked fun. Definitely give this one a shot. This is an honorable mention that I'm very excited about for just a number of reasons, but last year Star Wars Hunters dropped, and this is like an arcade style competitive shooter, PvP shooter based in the Star Wars IP. And so you play as different types of bounty hunters, and you're dropped into these arenas and you just basically fight each other. There's a bunch of different ways to play. There's a few different modes. There's a bunch of different heroes, and you kind of work through them and collect more. There's a really intense battle pass system so that they can make money, and it's a decent battle pass. You get you get some good stuff from it. But the gameplay of this game is super fun. It's very kiddie. It's mostly on like mobile and the Nintendo Switch. It might be on PC and maybe other consoles by now, but it was meant to be kind of a kid-friendly arena shooter, and that's probably why I love it so much. My son is 5 years old. He loves Star Wars, and this is a game that we can play together, and both of us are understanding what's happening and doing our part, and I'm just having so much fun with this one. So Star Wars Star Wars Hunters, not Star Wars Outlaws. That didn't make any list. Star Wars Hunters made my list for sure for an honorable mention from last year. And my final honorable mention for last year is a really unique one for me. This one is Batman Arkham Shadows. This is the VR Arkham game that they released last year for the Oculus Quest. I bought an Oculus Quest to play this game because I love the Arkham games and I wanted to give this one a shot, and it is so much fun. The only reason that this probably didn't make it into my top 5, or at least my best games of the year, was because for the first time for me ever playing VR, I was getting so sick playing this game. I usually don't get sickness playing VR games, but for whatever reason, the movement in this one was really jarring. I was working with some of the vignetting, some of the motion settings and stuff to kind of help with some of that, but this game is hard for me to play for any long amounts of time, but it is so fun. It is such a good VR game. It kind of is one of the first games, other than maybe like Asgard's Wrath and Half-Life games, where you can kind of see that VR is a real option for playing incredible, unique games, and they did that with these ones, and I really had a good time with this one. Great game. And lastly, just for super rapid fire, a few games from last year that I did not get to play that I really want to have on my list. The first one, Rise of the Golden Idol. As far as I understand, it's like a puzzle-y game. You've got word games, you're solving mysteries and stuff. I think it's a sequel, so I may try the first one out. This game looks really cool. Check it out. Second game from last year I didn't get to play, but I definitely will, is Pacific Drive. I do not know much about this game at all. As far as I understand, it's a story game where you're driving across country. It's supposed to be really emotional, really beautiful, cool indie game. Definitely trying this one out. And lastly, the game from 2024 that I'm excited to play more of is Concord. This is the... Wait, they did what?